Hello, everyone. Today we're going to talk about the current situation of the world, the need for a foundation that will guide us through the coming centuries and early decades. What we have is that we've never experienced so much technology as we do now. In all of human history, for most of the human existence, 300,000 years ago, we live in the wilderness, hunting and gathering, until 6,000 years ago, we began settling in cities and states and building our ziggurats and our roads and creating the commerce, the economy between city states, and the advent of politics and also religion. But one thing to remember here is the following. That was 6,000 years ago. And we pretty much live about the same throughout the classical age of Babylon, Persia, Greece, and Rome, the classical age. Then after the fall of Rome, we had the Dark Ages, where we got stuck with what we had in the past. The mindset was pretty much the same. It was the rise of Christendom, and Christianity was the main focus of the European way of life. Until, of course, the Renaissance, where was the rebirth and a exponential increase of creativity and discoveries in science and philosophy, which led us into the Industrial Revolution, and then computer revolution, the internet, and last but not least, the artificial intelligence. Now, in the same way that the Sumerians and the Egyptians, the ancient civilizations, created a foundation for their world, because before, humanity didn't have any foundation whatsoever. We were just in the wilderness. And even before there, we were animals, because of course, the DNA, the evolution through time, allowed us to become intelligent, allowed us to become human. Thanks to the dry seasons in Africa, thanks for all the apes that were striving to survive in the desert, in the sub-Saharan desert. Because, if you go back in time, you would see that the Sahara Desert wasn't really a desert after all. And I personally think that there is a connection between the drying up of the African northern region with the evolution of human intelligence, because you can only develop intelligence if you are struggling to survive. And that's when you evolve, and that's where progress is made. So the struggling, the suffering is what leads to our evolution. Now, the modern world is experiencing an exponential rise in technology. And in the near future, couple years or decades, we will need a foundation to create a world where we can benefit the most from all this technology. And how can we do that? Well, right now we don't really have the foundation yet, because we are about to encounter a major revolution in thoughts, mindsets, and so forth. What we need to do is create something that is safe. For example, a lot of people complain that the technology is not being used properly. And that's true, because if you use technology properly, you benefit from it. Now, the moment that you're using technology and it's going against you, then that means that something needs a new way of using it needs to be created or developed. That's why we need the society and the educators to return to philosophy, because during the classical age, the philosophers ruled the thoughts and the rhetoric, And they pretty much established the foundations that later led to the Renaissance and the evolution we had after the Middle Ages. We need to go back to philosophy to create this foundation, which is the art of thinking, the art of dialoguing, the trusting in what is safe and rejecting what is not safe, and things like that. The need to establish the civilization where we can benefit the most from technology and not the opposite. So that's something to think about. Thanks for watching.